The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
I want to say Swati Krap to everyone out there. This is Greg Rashid, your presenter, with another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Heard by many folks at their convenience on so many platforms on the internet, and it keeps growing. I got new folks out there, and I want to say a special hi and hope they're safe. I just found out I have folks in Jamaica who listen to the program, and really, I just hope everything's all right because the storms are going through the Caribbean right now. I pray for their safety there. And I want to say I also pray for the safety of everyone out there who listens to the program. But a lot of folks listen every Sunday afternoon in Colorado at 3 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only Henry Archuleta. And I say it every week. I'm coming back to visit Colorado at some point. But I don't know when, don't know where, but you never know. You never know, but I'm going to get there because I really miss it, miss my friends there. And just really, I spent 20 wonderful years there, and I want to get back there to visit. So I will be back there at some point. I will surprise you. I won't let you know. But anyway, we're going to have, as always, a great show here on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And I want to say, first of all, I want to thank Jamie Marshall. Now, Jamie Marshall, and you might hear me with some papers right now because I'm reading something. Jamie Marshall, he has created a publication, a magazine you can get online. And the name of the magazine is and I'm looking at it right now, trying to see, the Sports Gamers Journal. And he featured me in that publication this month. And I'm so happy. And he did a great job with the interview and all. Just so happy that he did that. And I'm just so grateful for all the folks out there who keeping the gaming spirit going and stronger than ever. But thank you, Jamie, so much for doing that. I got to get you on this program at some point. I definitely will. But today on this program, we're going to have John Turnbull. And he has created a new boxing game. And the name of in fact, we're gonna let John talk about it and about his all the games he's created. Great game here, fight card boxing. So we're gonna get with the interview right now with John. So let's talk to John right now on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And I'm honored today to have on the program John Turnbull. And he is the game designer of a game company called Powder Blue Sports. And I'm just happy to have him on today. How you doing, John?
Greg, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. And I just want to ask you, first of all, when did you come up with the concept of Powder Blue Sports for a name?
I love any uniform that has powder blue in it. The Royals, the Expos, some of the Chargers uniforms have powder blue in it. It's just such an awesome color for a sports uniform. So that's where I got the name from.
Okay, so you like the Oilers way back when, folks like that.
Yep,
okay.
There's another one. Yep, exactly.
All right. And the Dodgers technically can be powder blue. I know. Technically, I know. Just they could be, but anyway, I'm just happy to have you on here, and I want to talk. We're going to get to your other games, but the game I'm interested in talking about, obviously, because this is a boxing program, is your game Fight Card Boxing, and I really have to say that when I first got it. And I'm always excited when people are creating boxing games because I love, obviously I love boxing. I'm a boxing historian, and I try to buy, download every boxing game I can find out there. Not the not the video games, not the you know games like that where you have to use dexterity, but actual games where you have to think. And so I was excited about your game. I saw some YouTube videos about it, downloaded it, and I have to say, at first, I was like, "Oh man, this is not what I thought it would be." And and I'm not gonna say I didn't dislike it, but it's like, oh, something's missing here. And what I found out, it was like something was missing with me. I was missing a point in your game as far as some of the instructions. And you made some changes a little later. And once I started playing it again, I find this game really fun and fascinating. It is really, you did a great job for such a simple, quick play game, but it is really good. And just tell me why, because you have a hockey game, basketball game, and football game also. We'll talk about a little later. But boxing, why did you decide to do a boxing game? Because I'm always excited to learn when someone's doing a boxing game, since it's not a major sport in America. Over here in Asia, it's huge, and in Britain and other places, but America is not one of the top sports anymore. So tell me how you arrived at doing that game.
Yeah, first of all, thank you again for having me on. And over here in the States, it almost seems like UFC is more have a following
Yeah.
than boxing does. But yeah, like I said, I was a big boxing fan back in the 70s and 80s. I used to follow, Ali and Frazier and Holmes, and I grew up maybe about 10 miles from where Mike Tyson used to hang out in upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
Hanging around the Catskills back in back in his heyday. So I was a huge Mike Tyson fan, and following his career, just not because I like boxing, but his locale compared to where I grew up, and
Right.
admired his start, his relationship with Customato, and I think later in his career he kind of got off the rails a little bit, and he's gotten it back on track. But he's also been a favorite of mine. But boxing is a game that it actually didn't take that long for me to put it together. The football, the basketball, and the hockey game is a little bit more intricate. It takes a lot more statistics than what the boxing game did, so that let this game take up less time for it to
Right.
to come together. And I had help with a couple of friends who had kind of put a bug on my ear that they wanted to see a boxing game, so that kind of got the juices flowing, and it was several weeks trying to figure out in my head how I was going to make my game engine match and work with how I wanted to get the game to work. And as you could tell, it after it first came out, it was still a little bit on the unpolished side until I made one more final tweak that seems to make the game find its sweet spot, is with regards to the number of KOs versus a number of matches that end in a fight going a distance.
I have to say this, John. And one thing I do in any game I get, be it boxing, football, baseball, you name it, soccer, golf, and all, I always like, if it's a team sport or individuals pitted against each other, I always take the best versus one of the worst. And you know that, like we say in football, on any given Sunday, anything can happen. But if you do a series of times, it'll average out that the person who should win will win, or the team that should win will win the most times. And so with your game, I took Muhammad Ali versus Primo Carnera. I said, he's going, Ali should just mop him up. And Primo kept knocking him out. I said, now, wait a minute. It got so that I had to go to some of my other games, to say, wait a minute, let me check this. And it was going like it usually does, that Ali would just dominate. So that's when I was like saying, oh, God, John's got this great concept, but there's something missing here.
Let, let
Yeah,
me.
go ahead.
I just pulled up Primo's card here, and let me mention something about this that um that I've worked into my game. The thing, because one of the first fights I did when I started is I put Muhammad Ali against Mike Tyson. Now there is a rating in my game called intensity. Okay,
Right.
and that rating is a concentration of power per endurance, for lack of a better term or a way to describe it. So if you look at Ali, he's got quite a bit of knockouts. He had 37 and 56 wins, but he had his average rounds per bout was 9. So his knockout propensity was distributed over a wider range of rounds. So if we go to Carrera, he had 88 wins and he had 71 knockouts. So Carrera actually had a larger percentage of knockouts to wins, and his rounds per bout was a 5. So his knockout propensity and his power, for if you can imagine, was packed into a smaller box. When you're talking about
right.
the amount of rounds he could go, so he had that advantage going with him.
Did you consider, and I have to say this too, John, did you consider with Primo the fact that probably 71 of those knockouts, probably 70 of them were probably from guys who were beyond tomato cans. They were mob created guys for him to fight. Did you look, yeah, go ahead.
I know. I look at this picture and I can see exactly what you're talking about. But I would think that a lot of these guys would have a similar track then, to make it up to being the best of the best that I included on this initial set of boxers, is that you're going to fight a lot of
bums,
ragdolls on your way up.
Right. I mean, you mentioned Tyson. I mean, Ali. You look at Ali's record when he started out as Cassius Clay. You look at his record. I mean, these guys. I mean, they were just cannon fodder. That's all they were. And most fighters, from just my research over the years, in every division, every weight class, if the fighter had, like, say, 50 fights, maybe 8 to 10 of them are actual hard fights against a opponent with equal skill level. But the majority of his fights are what am I trying to say? Most of his fights at the beginning, all fighters, men and women, are basically, they're stumble bums. They're there to lose. They are paid to lose the fight. So it's kind of hard to factor that in to any of these, boxing games.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, strength of schedule is what you could easily compare it to.
Yeah, you can't do it like in football, and you can do it easily like that, strength of schedule and all that. But something you said offline, which really surprised me, in considering just looking at, because I was reading some of the cards of the boxers and all, just reading, trying to figure out how you arrived at some of your ratings. I said, well, he must be really, he must be a historian himself, because you did a excellent job of, like, figuring out the intensity and all, but you told me you're not really a historian per se.
Not in the boxing realm, no. Baseball, you ask me anything, and baseball and bowling.
Really?
I'm a boxing fan, but no, I will fully profess that I'm not a boxing historian. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I can take what few stats, the group of stats that I use, and make it work in a comparison realm. Is that what I did with these? I actually created, and you can find it on my Google Drive off of my website. I did make an Excel sheet where you can put in the box rec stats for any fighter, and it'll generate a card for you.
Oh, I have to check that out. I have to definitely check that out. Because you're talking about, because one thing you mentioned is that you you don't put current fighters in the game.
Right.
Although there's one in there who we don't know if he's retired or not. Tyson Fury. He keeps saying
Okay.
he keeps saying he's going to retire. Then he keeps saying, "Well, I will come back." And so it's like every day. And I follow British boxing over here, and I follow a lot of British newspapers and YouTube channels just to see. And he alternates by the weather. So I don't know. So right now we can assume that he's retired, but I think by this time next year, if not sooner, he's going to fight Anthony Joshua because that's the big money fight.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
go
you can
ahead.
take any current boxer you want and plug the stats in, and it'll create a card for you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. I have to do that because that's good to know. Now, you have only 4 weight classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I built it with heavyweights, welterweights, middleweights, and lightweights. Now a lot of boxers cross classes in a lot of their fights, and I to me those 4 classes are pretty much the most popular ones.
Right.
You start getting into the super cruiserweight and the super flyweight, and there's a lot. There's just too many different classes that are out there right now that would allow me to striate it that much to that many classes. And I do have several boxers here that do fight in more than one. I did look at several boxers at their career to see if maybe a jump up in class would affect their the 1-loss record,
Right.
or how long they lasted, and it really didn't. So
That's interesting because I was thinking, as you're saying, I'm thinking about someone like Sugar Ray Leonard. He
yeah,
jumped.
one guy I looked at really hard was Roy Jones Jr.
Oh yes, oh yeah,
So
because he actually gets to heavyweight. He gets up
yeah,
to that.
exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of hard. But now, with the game, as you have been, what has been the reaction? Besides my reaction, which I really like the game. What have people have said to you? And comparing it to the reaction to your other games.
There's the reaction has been positive. I mean, people usually won't download the game unless they have an interest in it, or if they've maybe played another boxing game that's out there. But I've had nothing but positive reviews about, especially with the new little tweak that I threw into the game.
That makes a big difference. That really
it does. It really does. So, but it's. I don't find that the number. I mean, I'm already up to 200 people on the Facebook group, and this game only got put out 3 weeks ago, I think.
Right.
But it's the intensity of the person. If I only got 8 guys who wanted it, but they play the heck out of it, then I'm okay with that in my book.
Right.
And I've taken the criticism from all the different games I've gotten, and have actually made changes to some of the other games based on the feedback that I've gotten. And this, the boxing game was no different.
Yeah, and I have to commend you too, and I say this to all gamers, game developers, because it is not easy to do that. I've created one game that took me forever, a baseball game that I give away for free I call it rolling for the fences, which is basically a home run derby game.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sitting on my desk, but I'm not ready because it needs so much tweaking, and it's been here for over a year now. I have a Muay Thai boxing game, but it just needs so much tweaking. It just needs so much to fix it. So I admire someone like you and all the gamers out there who can put them out and do it so well, because it's not, as you know, it's not easy. It's really not easy. And I'm just amazed when you said it didn't take you really that much time to do this boxing game, comparing it to some of your other games.
Um, well, from the time that I started working on the spreadsheet till the time I finished wasn't very long, but I can guarantee you that I spent much longer prior to me putting, fingers to keyboard, trying to go through it in my mind
Right.
or work through it on paper. So,
Yes, definitely not. It's not definitely not easy, but it's you have a love for this, for boxing, all sports. It seems like, to do this and to make it available for folks that I would like, and if I was in the States, I would have the printed version. But over here, I have to get everything PDF.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just I have to do that because your game, for me to get your game over here, and your game is very inexpensive, but for me to get it, I'm paying maybe over $100 to
Yep,
get
you're
it.
paying
To get
twice as much in shipping.
Yeah, yeah, but it's work. It's work. It is just a great game as the other games are too. Now, as far as with the boxing game, and you've made one tweak. Is any other things you're considering with the game as you look at it and you say, maybe I can do this next?
Um, Actually, no. To be honest with you, I'm super happy with the way things have gone out. I may in time do another set or two of boxers, um, maybe even a worst of the worst set, uh,
Yes,
or
I,
maybe a
I
set of middling boxers. Boxers that were batted 500 in their career,
right.
um, against each other. So, but
I would really like to see the worst of the worst because I kind of said that I'm featured in the latest issue of Sports Gaming Journal,
yep.
and I said, yeah, that's one thing I would like to see because a lot of the other sports that are that are tabletop computer games, they have the worst teams, and I would like to see the worst boxers have a tournament. Guys like a Reggie Strickland who finished like 6 and 275, who fought just for the love of it. I like to see them in a game like this. So
Hmm.
I hope you do that. I hope you really do. And one thing, another thing I want to commend you on, which I really like, which I've sat here and just read this, and I call it your rare play chart, but it's actually your knockout end of fight scenario finder. And it is really funny the stuff that you've
Well,
put on here.
full disclosure, AI created that, believe it or not.
Okay. Oh, is that right? Well, we got to end the conversation. We got no. I'm just kidding. But that's something. It's really good. That is really good. And frankly, we're at the point now that I say by this time next year, a lot of games are going to be basically mostly AI, with some input, but basically, like you're doing. But a lot of games, there are going to be just a plethora of games out there due to
Well,
AI.
I I don't I use it to an extent. Okay,
Yes.
I've got at least two more games. I got a baseball game which is in production right now, and I will probably be putting a soccer game out at some point,
Oh, good.
probably mid late 26.
Okay.
Um, but the game engine will be what I create, not
Right.
necessarily what AI creates. But what AI has done for me is you can put my rules into there, and it can run the simulations
Right.
pretty much the same way or faster than what Excel could do, and probably spit out the data, um, the results that you want. And so, like I said, it was just for fun to have and just add a little bit more texture and a little bit more narrative to the game, to have these 100 end of fight scenarios. And I also think I have 100 of the damage scenarios too, just to
Right.
this is a fun to have, that when you roll a damage, you can roll and see exactly, okay, how did this happen?
Right.
So,
No, I mean, I was kidding about, but actually, I mean, AI, you like the way you're using it and the way I have used it. If you look at it as just an assistant, and that is a
yep,
crutch,
right,
and that's
exactly.
what
It's a
it.
tool.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's a tool. It's just. And everyone who's used Google, you've been using AI for years.
Uh huh. Yep.
Folks have been using it forever. So all those, folks who are my age and a little younger, 70 and 60s and 50s who are complaining to me about, why are you using AI pictures? Why are you doing that? This is the, get off my grass, crowd. And I
Get
always
off my
tell them, you're
lawn.
already using AI. If you're driving a car, you got AI in there. You got a computer system, everything. You got a smart
Yep.
TV. You got AI. So don't, so I don't, if you, the minute you turn on your computer, you're using AI.
Hmm.
So it's like, so I don't, I just look at these people and just laugh. I just say, this has gone on before. People were upset about the internet at one time. They were upset about, cassette players and DVD players. It's the whole thing.
Yep.
If
It's just all fear of the unknown. That's
yeah,
all.
new technology, I'm scared. I'm scared. But getting, for getting back to your game, it's really, like I said again, I really enjoy the game. It's a quick way to do, like you mentioned, like a tournament. Do a life, a whole career of a boxer and all. It's really something. Now, what do you want to impart to those out there? Because as I told you off air, there are a number of people who are listening. They're boxing fans, but they're not really into gaming. What would you say to make them say, "Oh, I'm going to get that game. I'm going to download it. I'm curious."
Well, first off, it's free.
Hey, that's
Uh,
that's important.
and like, boxing is one of those sports that there really isn't that many simulation games out there for it. Um, if you want a what if, because that's once you roll the dice, it's just an alternative reality to what
Right.
actually happened. I like to tell people, like if you're recreating an NFL season, well, that NFL season is nothing but a series of dice rolls that happen that go a certain way.
Right.
And once you roll the dice, then it goes the way of what you rolled. So it's basically that simple. But the way the cards are made is um, is meant to be relative to each other. The rules are easy. There's very few charts. Basically, you're just looking at the two cards. You're rolling the dice, and you've got the two layers of monitoring a boxer's endurance and also mirroring that with the judge's scoring and trying to figure out as the fight goes on, is this guy going to hang on or is he going to,
Right.
is one punch it'll do him in? So,
And that is really, because at first I was saying, okay, this is going to be just rolling dice, and Ali keeps losing here. But when you change things, and I looked at it again, I saw the difference. There is a suspense in the thing. There's a definite suspense because you
mm-hmm.
don't know what because I did Michael Spinks versus Mike Tyson just to see what would happen, seeing if it would be another first round knockout. That didn't happen, but Tyson did knock him out in the eighth round.
Mm-hmm.
He did knock him out. So go ahead. What are you about to say?
Getting back to AI and I use that to figure out this new wrinkle added that I added to it because I asked it. I says in major heavyweight bouts of top ranked boxers, what was percentage of bouts that ended in knockouts and ended in decisions?
Right.
And the average was, believe it or not, about 25 to 28% ended in a decision, and the rest ended in knockouts. Well, I had AI use my directions with the older rules, and I was only getting like 15 to 18% fights that went the distance. So this additional rule that I had put in, I've fed that into AI and did some prompt tweaks, and it got up to the 28 to 30% that my goal was for.
That's
So
cool.
that was the sweet spot I was looking for on that.
Yeah, definitely. That's something. Again, you've done a great job with this game. And real quickly, because we're going to have to close in a few
Yeah.
minutes. Tell us a little bit about your other games, real quickly.
Okay. Drive time football is just how it explains. It's a drive by drive game. Um, and there's the twist in that is it can actually mimic the average number of drives that each team has in a game, because you've got mandatory drives and then you have drives that you have to actually roll for in order to um, pass a test in order for it to
Right.
a yes or no, so you can roll for additional drives, and that's all dependent on how many drives that team has in a given year. Baseline basketball is the second one that I put out, and that has a 3-tiered scoring system with based on percentage of 3-pointers, 2-pointers, and 1-pointers that they have during the year, and um, I use seasonal averages to kind of find out how many points a team will score using a bell curve. So the farther out on the your dice rolls, so what's I'm looking for, the lower probabilities are going to give you a wider range of scores that aren't average. But the ebb and the flow of the way the basketball game works is really really intriguing. And then Red Ice Hockey, the one I put out back in April of this year, seems to be the most popular with the hockey fans are like no other. I mean, boxing fans have their rabid following, and hockey is definitely no different. Maybe because they both have fighting involved in it, but yeah. But the hockey game is strictly a it's a goal-based game, and it's strictly based on percentages of the goal number of different types of goals they scored, whether they can be, shorthanded, power play goals, regular goals, and you even have 2-segment goals because it's all segmented into chunks of time, and then you have your empty net stuff at the end. But yeah, the hockey game is good. And then, like I said, I got a baseball one coming out here, probably by next spring.
Oh, that I'll look forward to that. Also, you mentioned that you like bowling. Are you considering a bowling game? Because you did mention that you like.
I would love to do that. Find me accurate bowling stats, and I've written to PBA and haven't gotten word back from them. It is really hard. There's no bowlingreference.com
Yeah,
for you to get past. So you're basically just have to go on strictly on average when it comes to that. And as again, AI will probably be a help figuring out percentage of spares and splits and stuff depending on the average you're trying to obtain. But yeah, I've been a big bowling fan for decades, so that would be something I would like to do. Whether that comes to fruition, I'm not sure. I'll have to make it, test it out, see if it's worthy.
And if anyone wants to contact you to get the games,
you can go to powderbluesports.com. That has links to my Google Drive that has all the free files for all my games, all the seasons, all the score sheets, instructions, and so on. And you can also buy printed sets if you want. I'll print and ship from home, and those products can also be found there as well on Powder Blue Sports. And I also have a Facebook page for each of the games.
Yeah, just really great Facebook sites too. So I just want to thank you again, John, for coming on. I got to get you back on here again. Really enjoyed talking to you, and just look forward to seeing the baseball game. And like I told you off air, I'm going to try the hockey game today.
Okay,
I'm going to download it. I know I'm going to need AI or somebody, maybe my wife, to assist me because it looks complicated.
The most complicated part of that is the empty net. And I do have a secondary alternate empty net rule that seems to be less math intensive. So but a little easier to follow for some.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John. I'll be talking to you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. I'm so happy to have John on. And please check out his games. I mean, they are free if you want the PDF. Great interview, great guy to talk to. And I'll be definitely having him back on. And all you other gamers out there who have boxing games, and some of you don't have boxing games, if you're interested in coming on the show, just drop me a line wherever you listen to the program, and I'll put you on here. But anyway, we're going to get with Jessica, your favorite martial artist, as she talks about this week in boxing history.
This is Jessica, your martial arts champion, with your boxing history for the week of November 2nd through November 8th. November 2nd, 1944, Michael Buffer, the great ring announcer, was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. November 3rd, 1973, Arnold Taylor survived 4 knockdowns to knock out Romeo Anaya in 14 rounds, winning the WBA World Bantamweight title. November 4th, 2006, Floyd Mayweather Jr. became the WBC and linear welterweight champion, defeating Carlos Baldemir. November 5th, 1994, George Foreman, at 45 years old, became the oldest heavyweight champion by defeating Michael Moorer via knockout in round 10 after being behind in all the scorecards. November 6th, 1993, Evander Holyfield recaptured the WBA and IBF heavyweight championships from Riddick Bowe at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. The fight was temporarily stopped in the 7th round when a parachutist landed near the ring. November 7th, 1988, Sugar Ray Leonard became the second 4-division world champion and the first 5-division world champion by defeating Donnie Lalonde. November 8th, 2008, Joe Calzaghe defeated Roy Jones Jr. by unanimous decision to retain the Ring Magazine light heavyweight title.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And there they are, over there in the back room arguing. And I'm talking about Malcolm and Ella, and they're arguing about last week's fight, if you saw it, between the heavyweights, Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley. Oh, man, that was a wild fight. And Parker lost by TKO in the 11th, but very controversial because it looked like even though Wardley was throwing a lot of punches, they weren't connecting. But the ref stepped in and stopped it. And you don't want to stop something too late. I can understand why he stopped it, but Malcolm and Ella want to talk to you about the fight. So let's hear what they have to say about the Wardley-Parker fight on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Okay, so if you maybe looked away from heavyweight boxing for a moment after the Usyk undisputed fight, wow, did you miss something huge? On October 25th, right there in London's O2 Arena, we saw what has to be the upset of the year. Fabio Wardley stopping Joseph Parker, TKO, 11th round.
Yeah, a massive, massive result. Just completely changed the landscape at the top.
Absolutely. So Wardley, now 2001, he's the one celebrating. But what we want to do in this deep dive is really get into the sheer scale of what was on the line there. Our mission today really is to unpack the result, sure, but also those huge stakes, and crucially, the massive controversy around how it all ended. Because the final bell, well, it never actually rang.
Exactly. Because you have to understand, this wasn't just another fight, another belt. The winner got the WBO interim title, okay, but the real prize. That was becoming the WBO mandatory challenger for Alexander Usyk.
The undisputed champion.
The undisputed champion. And that mandatory status, for you, the listener, that's like the golden ticket in boxing. Financially, legacy-wise, it skips the queue, guarantees that massive payday.
Probably in Riyadh, right? We're talking 2026.
Almost certainly looking at Saudi Arabia, yeah. Millions of dollars. And Parker, 36-4 going in, he was riding this incredible wave.
Oh, his comeback was phenomenal.
It's amazing momentum. He looked set to cash that ticket. And then, boom, in one sequence, Wardley, the underdog, he just ripped that future away.
Ripped it away is right. And looking at how the fight played out, I mean, the sources we've seen, they all paint a similar picture. This wasn't some lucky punch.
No, not at all. They're calling it an engrossing firefight, a modern classic. Just brutal swings in momentum. It wasn't just swinging back and forth. It felt like it was being violently yanked each way.
And Wardley's story adds another layer, doesn't it? His background is, well, it's almost unbelievable for this level.
It really is. You have to remember, this guy had 0 amateur fights. None.
0.
Zip. He basically came up through a few white-collar bouts straight into the pros, and now he's challenging and beating a former world champion like Parker.
Yeah.
How often do you see that?
Almost never. It says so much about his toughness, his self-belief, and, well, his chin.
Oh, absolutely. That chin got tested repeatedly. Parker was the favorite, no doubt. But Wardley showed these incredible powers of recovery.
Yeah, I saw he looked hurt early, like round 1.
Round 1, he looked shaky. Then again in the 9th and the 10th, too.
Yeah.
He got properly rocked. But here's the turning point, right? He takes the punishment, somehow stays upright, and then late in the 10th,
he comes back.
He suddenly finds something, lands this flurry on Parker, stuns him. Parker was probably saved by the bell right there at the end of the 10th.
And that comeback in the 10th is so vital because if you just look at the scorecards before that final round, round 11, Parker was winning.
He was. 2 judges had him clearly ahead. What were the scores? 98, 92, 96, 94.
Right, and the third had it even, 95, 95. So on paper, he was heading towards a points victory.
Which makes his fade in those last few rounds really the big question mark, tactically speaking. He weighed in pretty heavy, didn't he? 262.5 pounds?
Yeah, that's up there for Parker.
And Derek Chisora, who obviously knows Parker well, he had this theory straight away. He thought Parker had maybe overdone it with the weights, focused too much on bulk, maybe lost some speed, some stamina.
But is that just, an easy excuse after the fact, saying he lifted too much? Because Parker looked sharp, beating Zhang and Wilder. You need serious conditioning for that.
It's a fair question. But the evidence people point to is that apparent speed difference late on. Parker's power was there early, definitely.
Yeah.
But rounds 9, 10, 11, he did seem to lose, let's say, some of his steam. Whereas Wardley, he kept that pace up, that speed. And when your opponent starts to slow, even a little, that constant pressure becomes absolutely lethal. That loss of quickness, fatigue, maybe the muscle mass, whatever it was, it ended up costing him dearly.
And the cost became undeniable in that 11th round. The fight just shifted from this great contest into, pure controversy. Walk us through that final sequence.
Okay, so Wardley clearly sensed Parker was still hurt from the 10th. He could smell blood. Comes out for the 11th, lands this absolutely crunching right hand. Parker stumbles back.
Against the ropes.
Right against the ropes. And Wardley does exactly what you're trained to do. Pounces. Unleashes this furious non-stop barrage. Both hands just throwing everything at Parker who's trapped there.
And the referee steps in.
Referee Howard Foster jumps in, waves it off. 1 minute, 54 seconds into the round. TKO for Wardley.
And Parker's reaction, that image is burned into my mind. He looked furious, shoved the ref, instantly protesting, said afterwards he was fine, could have continued.
Yeah, absolutely livid. And that's the moment right there where the boxing world just splits down the middle. Was Parker genuinely finished, or did Foster jump the gun?
2 completely opposing views.
Completely. And we need to lay both out fairly for you. Yeah. So, argument 1, the justification camp. They say the ref did the right thing, protected Parker from unnecessary damage.
They argue Wardley had that killer instinct going.
Exactly. Wardley was relentless, throwing constantly. Parker looked overwhelmed. Some people felt the stoppage was, quote, academic.
Okay, academic. We hear that term a lot. What does that actually mean in this specific fight context?
It basically means the outcome was inevitable. Even if Foster had waited another, say, 5 or 10 seconds, Parker was going down anyway. The TKO or KO was coming regardless.
So the ref stopping it was just procedural.
Yeah.
Preventing extra hits.
That's the argument, yeah. Minimizing punishment when the result is already decided in their eyes. You had David Adlai, another heavyweight contender, saying flat out Parker was too hurt and too tired to survive that onslaught. He said the referee did what he had to do.
Okay, that's one side. A strong case for fighter safety. But then you have the other side, the controversy argument. And it's loud. Big names involved.
Oh, yeah. Ariel Helwani, Dan Rafael, major voices in boxing media. They called it awful, premature.
And honestly, my gut reaction watching live leaned that way too. Parker was ahead on the cards. He was minutes away from a huge win.
And the key points from that side are, 1, Parker was technically defending, rolling on the ropes, trying to absorb the shots. 2, maybe Wardley's punches right at the very end were losing a bit of power, maybe missing more.
And the big one, Parker never went down. He was on his feet the whole time. That always fuels the early stoppage debate, doesn't it?
Always. It makes it much harder to argue it was definitive. Which leads us straight into the tactical discussion, maybe the most interesting part of all this. If Parker was that hurt, that overwhelmed by the speed, why didn't he use the escape hatch?
You mean taking a knee?
Exactly. David Adlai brought this up specifically. Parker was getting hammered. Why not take a knee?
It sounds so simple, just touch a glove down. But it's more than that, isn't it? Psychologically, it's huge. It's admitting you're hurt.
It is. And our sources really emphasize this about Parker. He's just not the type to take a knee. He's got immense pride. He relies on that chin, that toughness we talked about.
Wants to tough it out.
Prefers to tough it out. And ironically, that very warrior instinct might be what cost him the fight, cost him the mandatory shot.
But explain the strategy for us. If you're trapped, getting hit nonstop, taking a knee gives you what? An 8 count. A breather.
It forces the referee to stop the action immediately and administer a mandatory 8 count. Those few seconds can be absolutely vital to clear your head, regroup, survive the round.
So why wouldn't a seasoned pro like Parker, with everything on the line, take that option instead of just absorbing dozens of unanswered punches?
Well, it's not without risk either. Taking a knee, firstly, it tells your opponent, I'm hurt. That gives them a massive psychological boost.
Okay, true.
Secondly, while you get a breather, so does your opponent. Wardley was expending huge energy in that flurry. A knee gives him 10 seconds to reset and catch his breath, too. Plus, you automatically lose a point on the scorecards.
Right. But Parker was ahead on the cards anyway. Losing a point to survive the round seems like a smart trade-off in hindsight.
You'd think so. By staying on his feet, trying to weather the storm purely on toughness, he basically forced the referee's hand. He kept himself in the line of fire.
Which puts all the pressure, all the subjectivity onto Howard Foster in that split second. Is Parker defending intelligently, or is he just absorbing punishment because his pride won't let him go down?
That's the impossible judgment call. The rules say the ref protects the fighter's health, stops it when they're endangered, knocked down or not. But in the heat of a heavyweight exchange like that, it's purely subjective. Foster had to decide instantly.
And Parker choosing not to take a knee essentially removed his own agency from that decision.
Completely. He left it entirely up to the referee's interpretation at that moment.
So the controversy rages, but the result stands. Fabio Wardley gets the TKO win. And now he's the WBO mandatory for Alexander Usyk.
Yep. That's the reality. And Wardley's already talking big, as you'd expect. He's confident, ready to challenge Usyk for all the belts, believes his pressure, his speed, his power, that chin. He thinks he can pull off another massive upset.
And that fight, Usyk-Wardley, if and when it happens, likely destination Riyadh.
Given Turki Alashik's involvement in staging these huge heavyweight fights recently, yeah, Saudi Arabia seems the most probable location. That's where the money is for these mega fights.
So what's left for Joseph Parker? That amazing run Wilder, Zhang, Chisora wins it, comes to such an abrupt, painful halt. Just one step away from the guaranteed title shot.
It's a brutal setback. He has to go back to the drawing board, essentially. He needs to stay extra busy, rebuild that momentum, climb the rankings all over again.
Are there good fights still out there for him? He's still a big name.
Oh, definitely. For you boxing fans, there are intriguing matchups. Maybe Daniel Dubois. A rematch with Anthony Joshua is always talked about. Even a potential fight against the cruiserweight king Jai Opetaia if Opetaia moves up. Plenty of options.
But the dynamic has shifted, right? He doesn't hold that mandatory golden ticket anymore.
Exactly. He's lost enormous leverage. Before this fight, he had the guaranteed shot. Now every fight is another high-risk hurdle just to get back into that top-tier contention. It's a much harder road back.
So wrapping this up, it feels like the core tension here is Wardley's incredible, hard-earned victory through sheer pressure and resilience.
Absolutely. A career-defining win for him.
Clashing directly with this really unsatisfying, controversial ending that leaves a question mark hanging over it and completely derails Parker's path. He was winning, minutes from glory, and then it all evaporated in under 2 minutes.
A bitter pill to swallow for Parker, no doubt.
Yeah.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. In these high-stakes boxing matches, where millions of dollars and world titles balance on a knife edge on split-second decisions, does this kind of controversy, this argument over an early stoppage, does it mostly point to a genuine officiating mistake? Or is it sometimes the unavoidable fallout when a fighter chooses pride over strategy, when they refuse that tactical safety valve, taking a knee right when they might need it the most?
Yeah, that was a good one there, Malcolm and Ella. I don't think it was a fight of the year, but it was in the top 5. I'll say that. And I don't think there'll be a rematch, which I would do if I was the promoters, but I don't know if there's a rematch because the money is going to be with Wardley fighting Usyk. So we'll see with that. I could also see too Wardley. I hope they don't do this, but I could see Wardley fighting Tyson Fury. That he might come out of retirement. He keeps saying he's retired, he's unretiring, so we don't know. Or Wardley fighting Deontay Wilder. That would be a wilder fight. That would be something. But I think they're pushing it for Usyk. But what do you think? What do you think about that? And as far as Parker, what's next for him? He deserves much more. Former champion, WBO champ, he deserves much more. Maybe he'll get another shot at the title again, but we'll see. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that with Malcolm and Ella. And right now, Jessica has a report from some fight. Another Manny Pacquiao report. Let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
A prospective exhibition match between boxing legends Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. could be impacted by another potential mega payday, a rematch between Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. The long-anticipated rematch from their May 2015 Fight of the Century, which Mayweather won after 12 rounds by unanimous decision, is in the talking stage, Pacquiao said. Right now, it's in negotiations, Pacquiao, 46, told Seconds Out. It depends on whether we can understand each other. My people and his people are directly coordinating. Pacquiao said it's a real fight, not an exhibition, and they are almost in agreement with a few details to be worked out. Las Vegas is the probable location, he said, but had no information on the date in 2026. Netflix will show the bout, which could be held in April, per reports. The first bout, which many of the sports observers felt came late in the careers of two of the best pound-for-pound boxers of their generation, is the highest-grossing boxing match of all time, including 4.6 million pay-per-view buys in the United States, per media reports. I'm sure the world of boxing will be excited if the rematch will happen soon, Pacquiao said. He has his own decision, so I cannot prevent him from fighting Mike Tyson. Mayweather, 48, has an exhibition fight planned with heavyweight Tyson, 59, in the spring of 2026, though an exact date, location, and weight class were not included in the September announcement by CSI Sports. After retiring from competitive boxing in 2017 with a 50-0 record, 27 KOs, Money Mayweather has stepped in the ring for 4 exhibitions, the most recent in August 2024 for an 8-round no decision against John Gotti III. The 59-year-old Iron Mike Tyson, 50-7, 44 KOs, hasn't secured a professional win since his TKO victory against Clifford Etienne in February 2003, with his 4 most recent bouts over 22 years ending with 3 losses and 1 draw. His most recent bout was against Jake Paul in November 2024, where Tyson lost by unanimous decision. Pacquiao came out of retirement after nearly 4 years in July in a bid to become the oldest welterweight champion in boxing history, but fell short in a majority draw against WBC belt holder Mario Barrios, 30, in Las Vegas. Pacquiao, 62-8-3, 39 KOs, already holds the record for oldest welterweight champion, winning the belt via split decision over Keith Thurman in 2019. The Filipino legend was enshrined into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in June.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And yeah, looks like there's going to be a Pacquiao Mayweather fight. I don't understand the Tyson Mayweather fight, but that's all about just money. That's all it is. All of these fights are now about money. That's what it is. But, and also I should mention this too. Speaking of fighters who haven't hung it up, Oliver McCall, who was heavyweight champion at one time, he's still out there fighting. He's still out there fighting. Danny Williams, who was one of the last people to beat Tyson, he's still fighting. So, these guys, unfortunately, they don't, and the women too, they don't want to give it up. It's a hard sport. They miss the adulation and all, and also the money. But we'll see what happens with this. But anyway, we're going to get ready to get out of here right now. I want to thank John Turnbull for being on today, talking about his great game, Fight Card Boxing. Check it out. Go to powderbluesports.com. Check it out and learn more about that game and the other ones that he has. Also want to thank, again, Jamie Marshall, the editor of Sports Game Journal. Yeah, just thank you so much for putting me on. It's not putting me on the air, but interviewing me. And I'm going to have him on here at some point to talk about, talk about his publication and all that. But anyway, just want to thank all of you for tuning in today to the show. And we didn't have any music today. Didn't do any music. Didn't do any fantasy fights, but we will next time. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love, go in peace. Help someone along the way. And wherever you are on this big blue ball, take a moment when you get up in the morning, just give yourself a big hug and say you love yourself. And do what you can to bring a little love and peace to whatever community you live in, wherever you are, because we're all in this together. You know, there's so much friction and just wars and rumors of wars. But if you can do one little thing in your community, pick up some trash, help a senior in need, help a young person in need, an animal you may be that may be in distress, whatever you can do to make it just a better place. That's all you can do. Just the little tiny things add up. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. We'll see you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.